Doctor Who 2021 into 2022 New Year special Eve of the Daleks. It's not the worst thing Chibnall's come up with.
Oh, wow, that's surprising.
I mean, you've seen his first season.
I've seen all of the episodes.
No, I mean, I'm talking to Madrock. You've seen his first season. This is not that bad.
Okay, true, and don't get me wrong, I could have done without the love thing between the Doctor and what's her face. This is like, do you really have to put that in there?
Yeah, they've been kind of trying to shoehorn that in there. It doesn't really. The chemistry doesn't really work. They're trying to do like a Rose 10 thing, but I don't think it's really. They set it up enough.
Yeah, I don't see any chemistry. And before anybody says anything, no, it's not because they're both female. Nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I just don't think they've set up the chemistry well enough.
Because personally, I am all for gay ships, and I love Jamie and the Second Doctor. They are my OTP. Like, Jamie was totally wore a kilt, not just to show he's Scottish, but to give the Doctor easy access, you know?
Okay.
Tell me I'm wrong. You watch any Second Doctor episode and tell me I'm wrong.
But, yeah, it does feel a little tacked on. Like they suddenly decided this was a thing.
No, because there have been fast shippers forever.
Oh, I mean, there's always gonna be shippers for me.
Yeah, you could ship anything with a rock. It's
but
in Doctor Who that probably wouldn't be as far fetched because there's probably a living rock somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that gives a new meaning to the term stoner.
But
yeah, no, I mean, it has been within the Doctor Who fandom, like, Yaz 13 shippers have been like, it's the main ships are Yaz and 13 and Thoshche, 13 and the Master, the Doctor and the Master, but that's always been there.
Yeah, that sort of always hangs in there. But yeah, I just don't think. Yeah,
I think the thing is, they actually have had a bit, not so much chemistry. It's been more of a, not Rose Doctor, but more of a Martha Doctor thing going, where it's like, even to the point where she's been like, during that time where, the Doctor's been gone for months and months, and, she's been stuck in that other TARDIS trying to find her. Like, yes, having a thing for the Doctor is not that far-fetched, but the Doctor having a thing for Yaz would be.
Yeah, it's just not very.
And I don't think the Doctor actually does have a thing for her. Like, yeah, I think it's more along the lines of, and that's why she was so awkward about it, because it's like, I know you. It's like, I knew that, but I just didn't bring it up because I didn't want to make this awkward. Thanks for making it awkward.
Yeah, I don't think she has interest. I mean, if you have a headcanon for it, I don't whatever, that's your deal, but like it just doesn't feel like it's the chemistry is there and that the feelings go both ways. I don't think it's just it's a one-sided thing with very limited chemistry, and it just doesn't ring right.
Yeah.
But hey, if you can pull that thing off with a better execution, go for it. I don't care.
Yeah.
But
Also,
yeah, if you can,
also like Yaz's character wasn't developed very well. I mean, they tried, and you could see they were trying to give her better development with that whole suicide thing and the whole, teen angst thing she had before.
yeah,
But
everything felt like it was, you know, too many seasons late. Like
yeah,
everything felt like, oh, we're getting criticized for our characters being not very.
flat.
They're flat. They don't have. There's nothing really to them. They're you know we haven't developed them at all. We're getting that. Oh, we better rush some development into them, and then they start throwing development into them, and it's okay. You two responded to criticism, but it just sort of feels
I mean,
like it's
like
tacked on a little bit.
honestly, I did like Dan. I do like Dan and Dan's personality.
Oh,
Yeah, and I think
Dan's
he
great.
benefits from, we kind of know the Doctor now, so that wasn't as
Yeah.
big a we didn't have to focus on her as much, and we kind of know Yaz better, but
And not only that, but they learned from their mistakes with Yaz and Ryan. Like just like with Ryan, Ryan at least had Graham to counteract him and to be like, let's give him let's give him some personality with his conflict with his step granddad.
Yeah.
Whereas Yaz didn't have that, and when they did throw her family in, it was very cliche and very like flat. And so when they tried too little too late to give her personality, and so
yeah. But
it
by the
but
time Dan came around, they
they learned what they're doing, and they're like, okay, we know what we did wrong, and let's do it right with Dan.
yeah, because Dan didn't have to compete for development.
Yeah. And he was built, his development was built into his character, like with the first scene,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
like who he is predetermined, predefined,
and it was a
and
lot of, and it was also like we were informed about the dyspraxia. Like he kept telling us, well, I have dyspraxia, I have dyspraxia. It was more shown what Dan was about. Like his stuff was, it was show don't tell. Like we're not, oh, I am Dan and this is what I am about. No, it was showing him doing things that reveal aspects of his character without him stating, oh, I have dyspraxia.
I think that's another problem with Yaz. Like they tried to give her character by giving her a backstory, but instead of building that backstory, they just showed her backstory. Like, oh yeah, she has this angsty backstory. See? And it's like, there was no like
hint of that.
It
yeah, if you had hinted at
any,
it, like at least with the dyspraxia, we saw him with the bike, and it was informed, and nothing against having somebody with dyspraxia, but the way it was done was a little weird.
And they only brought it up when it was convenient.
Yeah, he was fine any other time when it was, when which
Like,
seems like a bad idea to give somebody, like, I know you wanted to have some representation for dyspraxia, but the problem is it doesn't really work as well as a companion, because the companions are constantly running and having to do skillful things to get out of places just in the nick of time, and him having that kind of, like, it could be made interesting, but they always forgot about it when it was whatever.
yeah, exactly. And like I loved Graham because his character was very consistent. His character was very like set,
Yeah, he was,
and
we were informed a little bit of stuff, but mostly he was just, we got to see him as himself.
who he was. Exactly. And we saw that rather than have to be told, oh, he's a foodie, or hey, he like, he's like this, or he's like that. It's like, we see he's like this.
Yeah, there's
We
ways to
see
inform, like a foodie. You could have, huge stacks of recipe books, or, the doctor
always
comes to
carrying
visit
a
him.
sandwich in his pocket.
Yeah, or he could, a foodie, he could, you could have him, show up and he's got flour on his shirt. And then you're like, oh, he
Yeah.
bakes. It's like,
Yeah.
like you can
But, like,
inform things without.
Although you could be a foodie and not bake.
Yeah, obviously, but that would inform that this
Yeah.
guy likes to cook, and you can do that, or somebody who's a gourmand, who's a gourmet, and I gotta have this, like anytime if somebody had a consistent thing where they're like, oh, new alien food, and they were super interested in anytime they got a chance to eat alien food. And that was one of his requests
that's how Graham was. Like, that's how Graham was. He's like, ooh, can I eat it?
Yeah, like we have, oh, you haven't lived until you tried a Snortaxian pickle. It's like, what's that? It's amazing. It's like, can we do that? And they try and go to get the pickles, but they ending up somewhere else.
Yeah. But I mean, that's why so many people liked Graham. Like, aside from the fact that he mentioned being a bus driver a lot, but that was part of his character, like, the rest of it was show, not tell,
Yeah.
But I mean, how else are you going to say that he's a bus driver unless you have him driving a bus all the time,
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you could have him, one of the ways you could inform that is, like, he's getting off his shift, and you could see him coming off the bus and handing the keys to the guy who's going to pick up the next shift, and tipping his hat, and if he's
but being
he's retired. Oh yeah, he's retired. So if he's retired, then yeah. But you could have him hanging around, the
and they did that. That's how they did it with that one in one episode.
Yeah.
Anyway. He was hanging around and saying, But besides that, most of his character was identifiable by what you saw.
Yeah. And then, but getting on to the actual meat of the episode itself.
There was a little in-joke in there.
There was a what?
There was a little in-joke, like a nod, a little head nod joke in there.
Which one?
When she called the Dalek Nick, because Nick Briggs is the guy who voices the Daleks.
Okay.
And most of the monsters throughout the modern Who.
Nice.
And he is the executive producer of Big Finish.
Oh. But
yeah. Although I do like the other Dalek joke better. How do Daleks like their breakfast? Eggs, plain.
Yeah,
Okay,
there was some things that, like, I thought was, I think it would have been okay. One of the things they did was towards the end they had 3 Daleks. They kept dumping Daleks into this time loop. Like, I think it would have been more intimidating, more scary, more interesting if they had just kept it to 1 Dalek.
Well, I mean, based on, in the storyline, it did have, like...
Well, it had I'm not saying you couldn't explain why there would be these other Daleks come in, and it makes sense enough. But if you just had 1 Dalek, and this was all just them versus 1 Dalek, I think that would have been the entire time. That would have been more... It would have had more fear to it. There would be more suspense there's one Dalek, and we don't know where he is.
Yeah,
And
but at the same time, it would have made it easier because they could have,
well, you could up the when you make the that easier,
divided.
you could have made him more, a more clever Dalek or something. He could have done something interesting. I don't know what it would be, but like off the top of my head.
Yeah,
But
but you saw what happened last time Chibnall fucks with the Daleks.
yeah,
We
but
ended up with the revelation of the Daleks.
yeah, but I was
And
saying if we
no.
had a good writer, like you could have done something more suspenseful with a single Dalek. Like,
Yeah.
the Dalek sets up a trap and then goes someplace else and is chasing them, and it becomes more, it does become a little more Scooby-Doo, but it also has more of a this is a death machine, and it is, because the more enemies you have, the more Daleks you have, the less impressive they get. Because
Can we talk for a second about what a creepo that Nick guy was? Like, and that Jeff dude. Oh my gosh.
why do you have so many cans of expired beans?
I know. Beans are nasty.
Beans.
Beans, a musical fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot. The more you toot, the better you feel. So eat beans at every meal.
So,
But
I don't.
here's a
The texture.
There's a Dalek question. So I'm pretty sure that the flux thing wasn't the first time the Doctor has killed a shit ton of Daleks. So why are they very interested in trying to kill the Doctor now?
Because
well,
before, with all of the genocide, it was the Dalek and the Time Lords. Now it was just the Dalek.
well, and I think, didn't 11 basically try and go through history and sort of tamp down his own legend a little bit?
Yes, he did. He did go and he erased himself from
as much as he
I know
could.
he erased himself from the I know one of the Doctors erased himself from the Cybermen, but I think he also erased himself from the Daleks.
Yeah, but 11, I don't think we really got to see exactly what he did, but we know, like, that was one of the things he said he was going to go do. I've gotten too big. I need to scale it down and sort of tamp down the legend a little bit after, Demon's Run. He's like, I need to tamp this thing down a little bit because it's a little much. And so he did that, so that might have helped. Then the flux brought it's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, so who knows?
But also the flux was a bigger event than most of what the Doctor's ever done before.
Yeah, he stops an invasion here or an invasion there. There's a little plan he foils here. It's usually around the fringes. And so they're like, okay, well, we still want to kill him, but we're going to focus on exterminating. That's what we do. And if we happen to run into him, we'll deal with him at the time.
And now, admittedly, they didn't really do a good job with planning. Yes, they're smart and stuff, but if he was like, Doctor, enemy number 1 must destroy, why not send the entire fleet down?
Probably something to do with that temporal thing caused by her TARDIS.
Yeah.
Well, hey, the temporal thing's over now, so now they can send the fleet down.
Yeah, they can.
Or they just got bored. It's like, whatever.
They realized that, like, bro, that's not gonna work. We better figure something else out.
Okay, so I'm just imagining something. So it's like, your sonic screwdriver won't work on me. It's like, yes, it will. No, it won't. because I am made out of wood.
Well, that just made me think of a dirty joke.
Just a wooden dog. And of course it did. X.
All I can say is that one thing I can say about this is that it's a very bottle episode sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's
Very
like this was the
Groundhog
cheapest
Day.
sets ever. 'Cause it's,
Especially after, it's kind of like, I know you guys aren't as familiar with the original series, but the episode, I think it was right after the Dalek, there was an episode called The Edge of Destruction, or maybe it was right before the Daleks. But there was this episode no, I think it was right before, because the first story was like 4 episodes or 5, and it took place in a bunch of different locations with all these sets and stuff. So to save time and save money, they basically did an entire episode within 2 rooms of the TARDIS.
Nice.
Like, it was I think a 1 or 2 episode story, and they did it within just 2 rooms of the TARDIS, to just as a fluff between the 2 stories. And that's kind of what this one felt like just a fluffer.
Yeah.
Although that Jeff dude really, oh my gosh, what the hell does he store there?
Stuff, apparently. Lots of fireworks.
That guy, like,
It's like, I'd say no animals, dead or alive.
yeah. And then that Nick guy, ugh, he was such a creep. And the fact that she got with him at the end just really saddened me.
What, you don't like Monopoly?
Well, no, I hate Monopoly.
I gotta say, though, that is like the oldest Monopoly game I've ever seen.
And it got blowed up.
Yeah, it got blown up.
I mean, on one hand, at least her mom is stopping berating her, because why does her mom like Nick? He's such a creep.
Well, probably see
At least you
something.
got somebody. Ugh, I hate when people do that.
Yeah. And hey, her mom called on time.
Yeah. And blew up the factory for her.
It was her mom's fault.
It's like, well, you were complaining. Well, you were complaining about me working on New Year's, so thanks. Now I don't have to.
I do love it that it's called elf storage, though. So Santa Claus stores also elves. Okay, not really about the episode, but I want Jack Harkness to return, but hear me out. Not the same actor. Have a different actor, and just like have him to go to doctors. Like, you're not the only one that can change his face.
Oh my gosh!
Like, I just want that character back, because he could like totally just get, just do like the plastic surgery thing, Just say he had plastic surgery or something. I mean, he technically does. I mean, I think if I remember correctly, he technically does, like when he ages too much, because he still ages.
He becomes the face of both.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, I miss that character.
I would love to see some in between of Jack Harkness in the face of Bo, like,
yeah,
because he does, and he does age clearly. So you could have a different actor playing older Jack Harkness.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Especially since the other, the face of Bo has the like big lips and the tentacle hair that looks kind of like dreads. Have some like reggae singer type.
Oh God.
Or have some just in an alien mask.
Ugh.
Like, the alien or a Nausicaan mask. He is the source of the Nausicans.
Oh God. Ugh.
And
Yeah,
that's about it.
this episode it was good. It was like very. It wasn't too far spread out. It was like very, its own little thing. Groundhog Day.
Yeah. Pretty standard shit.
Yeah.
Although the countdown was pretty interesting. If you can survive to midnight, you live. Sounds like the plot to some horror movie.
Now, I found it interesting that it activates under death.
No, it activates on the doctor's death.
Okay.
So if the rest survived, the doctor died, it would still trigger.
Okay.
Or maybe she just happens to die at midnight each time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because you never really. Actually, yeah. And the next episode, the Doctor fights Darth Vader.
Were it not for the fact that the BBC doesn't have rights to him, I would not be surprised. Honestly.
Fights a Darth Vader knockoff.
The Dark Father. Well, we saw her mother, but now we need her father.
Ugh, having fun over there, are we?
I'm getting up. I'm ready for work.
We don't have much to talk about here.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's weird not
better
hearing a long tangent from Dex.
What?
I said it's weird not hearing a long tangent from you.
Yeah, I didn't really have much to say.
Well, I gotta get ready for work, so.
Okay.
Ciao, ciao.
Any last words?
Pineapple.
I do like pineapple, especially on pizza.
Bolognese.
Blasphemy. It's bolognese.
There's no ham. I like pineapple, olives, and onions, or jalapenos, or both.
Okay. Well, I'll call that a review.